Entirely. Right, okay. I've not really got an intro for this stuff. Jing Wei Guide. Um, Probably one of the more popular hunters, well, I'll say probably one of the most popular hunters as of right now. I think roundabout or matching Anher's pick rate in the SPL. Typically, when Anher's picked, which is very popular, we see Jing Wei as a counter matchup. Um, just due to reasons that I'll be going over. Um, so I'll probably be going over abilities, build, sort of base way to play the character, lane strategy in lane, what you want to do, and just how to utilize a passive. My biggest tip, number one global tip for Jing Wei is don't think of Jing Wei as a non-global character. I guess we'll start with the abilities now. Actually, well, I'll talk about this. So, Jing Wei passive, rapid reincarnation. Essentially, whenever you leave the fountain, on whatever map, whether it's conquest map, joust, whatever, arena. I'm doing these guys for conquest, based around rank conquest. But just know this passive works in all game modes. But essentially, when you leave fountain, I don't think I can even shut off here, can I? I don't think it actually goes out. Oh, it does. Okay, so you leave fountain, you fly around, and then you just basically land. It's basically a fast track out of spawn. The distance of the passive is around any tier 2 tower on the map on your side of the map. That's about how far you can go. This can be used, so if you're in duo and you're farming and you're back, and your team is fighting on the right side or the other side of the map towards the solo lane, towards the fire giant, you can always just leave spawn and fly over to Fuego de Gonte. And sort of join that fight a lot sooner as the other ADC. Obviously, if the ADC is playing Apollo or Chernobog, they're going to be there a bit faster than you. But any other god will be able to match that rotational power. Think of it as sort of like a mini sort of global, almost a mini global, if you will. It's a really useful passive. Has been nerfed a good few times over the years. It used to be to lane, I think, like past your tier 1, and they reduced it a good few years ago now. But really powerful ability, allows you to just farm up. Once you have a tier 2 item completed, you can back and fly back to lane. You shouldn't miss too much farm, if any farm at all. I love the ability up here, so. Jing Wei 1 is Persistent Gust. This is a very simple, small circle. It deals burst damage on the initial, so I've used it here for example. It'll deal burst damage on the initial activation, and it'll deal dot damage over time. This is Jing Wei's primary lane clear. You should maybe think it's quite small, how does that clear the entire wave? Well, I'll go over that in a second. Something to do with her next ability. But yeah, this is a standard damaging ability. Any target, any enemy god that is hit by this will be knocked. Let's see if I can show it in the Odin box real quick. Yeah, any god I think that's not. These work. Yeah, any god that's knocked up by this will be knocked up on only the initial burst damage. Once they walk into it afterwards, they will.
Let the fires rise.
For the sake of convenience, I'm pretty sure if a god walks into this, they'll be knocked up, but they won't take the initial burst damage. The cool thing about Jing Wei is that this ability works. Jing Wei is very much a aerial mobile character. This works interestingly with Jing Wei, in the sense that she can actually walk into her own Persistent Gust and knock herself up, and also give her an attack speed steroid. Starting at 20 attack speed, up to 40% attack speed at rank 5. So you knock yourself up, and all of a sudden, yeah, autos quite a lot faster. Pretty simple ability. You can just kind of like, because you are a passive god, Jing Wei is not one that's going to be fighting all too much, especially if the opponent has gods like Anher or Heimdall or Apollo, or someone that's going to be really good at boxing in lane. You're not going to want to be fighting those gods. So the key strategy typically is just to throw you one out at the wave. About rank 4, it will full clear. The initial burst won't full clear, but the dot damage will. At least clear the archers, and then you can just focus on the front line, the brute minions, and then you can back off and go to the purple buff, or you can go to the oracle, or deal one of your lesser scorpions. Just keep yourself safe. Like I said, the Jing Wei is a very safe god. She's picked up a lot for her safety. And just the fact that she works so well with crit, which I'll discuss soon. Jing Wei's second ability is Explosive Bolts. This is an attack speed this is a auto attack enhancing ability. You pop it, you get 3 little darts. These have an AoE radius. So if I do this, for example, okay, that's a bit too close. It's got a small AoE on it. I can't really shot off there, can I? These two are too close together. I'll shot off the minions. Small AoE radius, and the increased chance to critically hit. The ability, important to note, does go on cooldown straight away. So you pop this when you walk out of base, and it'll back on cooldown again. Let's see, it does actually AoE, and you can go ahead and do that. The typical lane clear you want to do will actually involve your 2 and your 1 together. I'll see if I can get that shown in a second. Essentially what you want to do is you want to push the minions back with your 2, group them up, then use your 1. So let's see if I can show that here before these guys get too close. So you put me 1, that, you 2. Okay, they got too close, but you get the point. Like, catch the wave really, push them back with your 2. Get some good AoE damage on the front minions, and then use your 1, and it will clear the wave. That's the main combo that Jing Wei has to clear. Outside of that, a clear is actually pretty weak, it's on the weaker side of ADCs, just due to how small this circle is. I believe it's actually maybe the smallest ADC lane clear ability in the game. I think it's a lot smaller than Artemis is 3, which would often be considered to be the smallest one. But don't get twisted, her lane clear isn't tragic, it's just not as good as other gods. Jing Wei's third ability is Agility. This is a short range dash that provides Jing Wei with movement speed and power. So it's a short little dash, you do that, you're moving faster and you're hitting harder. I see 86 per auto there as opposed to 77. This also works with being knocked up. This is Jing Wei's primary. Jing Wei is an anti-knock-up character. Gods like Sobek or Xing Chen or Anhe that really rely on their knock-ups to confirm their damage or settle for kills will have a poor match with the Jing Wei. This is because if you are knocked up, you can use your dash. It'll go further. It'll give you more movement speed and more power. As you can see, I was going protections.
Let the fires rise.
I'll do this. Also, I'm hitting this loading bot for 94, as opposed to 77. It gives you a bit more power. Obviously, you get more power the more you rank the ability up. This is a very useful escape tool. If you're going to get by a jungler, you just got this and that, and you're out. The movement speed you provided more than likely will allow you to keep your distance and run away from any threats. And just the initial length of the dash as well. That's quite a long dash. Like if I start here.
Into battle.
I got that. The length of the dash is that big, which is pretty decent. And then you have the movement speed, so you can keep walking towards your tower or towards your team, which will help you stay alive. Not much really to this ability. Just like I said, none knock up, short range dash, bit of movement speed, bit of power. Knocked up, you get a longer dash, a lot more movement speed, a lot more power. Simply enough to use. Jing Wei is by no means she hasn't got a high skill floor or skill ceiling. She's very much on the easier side of ADCs. She's a very comfortable lane character. Jing Wei ultimate, airstrike. This is I'll just show it off real quick. This is a large sort of rectangle ability in a straight line. And she'll fire bolts below her, which deal damage to all enemies in that sort of area. This is very helpful because, as you might notice, Jing Wei can stay at. I'll show again. Jing Wei can stay at the top here for a little bit and pick a new target to a new place to land. This is really helpful when Jing Wei gets ganked. If you haven't got your free, if you've used this maybe aggressively, or you've already used it to clear something faster, and you're not going to have that ability available to escape, your airstrike is your next best thing. You have crowd control, immune, and untargetable during the entire duration. So anyone that wants to you may want to freeze you, for example, or anyone wants to junk on you, you are CC immune during the cast and the entire time you're actually untargetable while in the air. One thing to note is that ultimates like Neefle will hit you when you land. As I believe as well, New Wild does the same thing. So any ultimate like Neefort or Nuwaral that is guaranteed to hit its target unless they are fully immune to damage, you will be hit by it once upon landing. Kind of works similarly to Arachneal in a sense where you are untargetable, uncontrollable in the air, but if you use it before you're about to get hit by a Neefort, the Neefort will hit you when you land. This does decent damage. I believe it's 580 at max rank. So it's a bit of damage. It can be used for kill secure. I personally would not recommend it. I think the biggest strength Jing Wei has is just farming and playing safe in lane until you get your field build online, and then that's when you really start to swing. Once you've got your crit online, you're so safe in team fights. Jing Wei is practically undivable. Like, she is so safe. She just puts out consistent high damage numbers in the late game. Very good at shredding front lines. And then once you've shred the front line, you can dive into the back line with your 1 and your 3. And you can start hitting the squishes in the back line for a lot longer. Just note while you're auto-attacking, this movement speed, you will be able to strafe better. Obviously, increased movement speed means you'll have faster strafing, so getting hit by auto-attacks shouldn't be as bad. But I'd primarily use this as an escape. It does go over walls. And one thing I should note, as your 3 and your 1 do not go over walls, I believe.
Let the fires rise.
Yeah, it doesn't go over walls. I should double check just in case I was wrong. Yeah, this doesn't go over walls, which means that if your team's on the other side of a wall and you need to escape, I would definitely recommend just don't be afraid if you're feeling threatened. Just pop this. Like, if you're taking a 1v1, you're losing, don't be afraid to just pop that and get out. The priority for you as Jing Wei is to just farm up until level 20, get your full build online, and then come back and smack in the late game. So that's all the abilities. So she's a very simple to understand character. We've got damage, we've got increased crit chance and AoE autos, we've got a dash, which is increased when knocked up, and an ultimate, which is a straight line. CC immune, untargetable when you land. I suppose build for Jing Wei will be very standard if you've been watching about SPL or been watching the current meta. The build for Jing Wei will be standard. You want to go Gilded Arrow first into Ornate Arrow at level 20. Ornate Arrow gives you a lot more gold from killing minions, from any source of gold in the map. You receive 20% more gold from that. This can be really nice. I recommend buying Gilded Arrow before you get Deathbringer, just because the extra base attack damage, extra health, and the critical chance. It's just a really consistent item. It really makes your crit build consistent. I definitely recommend buying Ornate Arrow before Deathbringer, just because it's so easy to farm that Deathbringer once you have Ornate Arrow. So you want to go Gilded Arrow into Ornate Arrow, and then for your start, you'll want to go 2 Devoural's Gauntlet. And my advice is always upgrade Devoural's Gauntlet before you get boots. The reason this being is because if you buy Ninja Tabai first, and the enemy ADC goes Dev Gauntlets first, while you'll be initially more powerful in the sort of engagements where the enemy ADC doesn't have boots, because you'll have more power than them and you have more attack speed than them, and more movement speed than them, you'll be able to juke better and move around better. Once you complete your Devourer's Gauntlets and the enemy ADC completes their Ninja Tabai, they'll already have stacks in Devourer's Gauntlet, and from that point onwards, they'll be basically beating you in build curve. They'll be having items on before you, and it'll be a rough time from there. So I always recommend going Devourer's Gauntlets first, getting those stacked up, and then on your next pack, you'll want to buy Ninja Tabai.
In all my years,
I recommend Ninja Tabai on every ADC in the game. There isn't a single ADC currently in the game, even the ability-based ones, where I'd not recommend Ninja Tabai on. It is just really, really valuable for ADCs. The attack speed is really nice because you can see my attack speed's already risen. Obviously, this is with Ornate Arrow as well, full stacks. You do get attack speed more with Ornate Arrow, but you still get 20% attack speed from Ninja Tabai on like one of your early items. It's a really nice little mini power spike. As you're an ADC, the actual physical power being less than Warrior Tabai does not matter. Your overall DPS will be higher with more attack speed, since Warrior Tabai, whilst providing 15 extra power, doesn't allow you to hit the over 2 attack speed, which is practically required for ADCs right now. You need to have over 2 attack speed at least. if not attack speed. Excuse me, attack speed cap. So keep that in mind when you're trying to pick your boots out. I always recommend Ninja Tabai. If you are playing an ability-based character and you don't want to go Ninja Tabai, you want that 15 extra power, then maybe go with Warrior Tabai. But I just, even the ability-based characters like Skadi and Chiron, Neef, I'd still, if you're going like a Bluestone build, always recommend going Ninja Tabai on them. Just the attack speed is very helpful when it comes to shredding objectives and enemy gods. After Ninja Tabai, this is where the build paths will start to divert into more personal preference. For me, my personal preference will always be Executioner.
What a majestic
My third item.
bow.
The reason for this is completely up to you. I'll put Wind Demon here as well. These two items, I've seen a lot of. They're pretty interchangeable. Some people prefer to go Wind Demon in this slot and then Executioner in this slot, and some prefer to go Executioner like myself, Executioner in this slot, Wind Demon in this slot. The reason I recommend Executioner before Wind Demon is because Executioner is a more consistent item on its own. Wind Demon is very good in crit builds, but as a sole item, it's not that impressive. And leaving your actual, like if you go Wind Demon in this slot, you're leaving your boxing potential and damage output in the chance of a 20% RNG crit strike chance. The stats on Executioner gives you obviously some percent penetration on all attacks, nice attack speed and nice physical power. This still gives you some nice attack speed and physical power, but it doesn't provide, it provides a flat 50% penetration, which is less than Executioner, and only when you get a crit. So, also no, it's 10% physical penetration on crit, which is a 20% chance. Let's see if I can. Let's just see if I can show you how many times I crit with this item. I'm going to use 10 auto attacks. 1, 2. Okay, there's 1, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, a good roll. That's 5 out of 5 out of 10 auto attacks, which is actually half. That's not a bad roll. And like I said, if you think you're going to be lucky and you want to take Windstring and you think you're going to hit all the critical hits, then by all means grab Wind Demon. As you see, I've hit a good few in a row there. It is just a wildly inconsistent item on its own. Believe you me, the crit chance I'm doing now does not even begin to explain how much having Wind Demon not proc has ruined me in fights. One of the biggest complaints in crit meta right now is because crit is an RNG stat and is inconsistent. There has been many times where I myself have been crit multiple times by a Wind Demon, where like me and the enemy ADC will both have Wind Demon Executioner completed, and the enemy ADC will crit me. Oh wait, I haven't got Gilded. Okay, Gilded Arrow. Sorry, I realised I'd Gilded Arrow on still, so I got additional crit chance from that. And even then, I only crit 5 times, so out of 10 with 5% crit chance, which is a bit rough. It's about the average though. But yeah, they just note that you might get out-traded sometimes if you go Execution to Wind Demon, Execution in your third slot, just because if any of these RNG is just, if it's just an RNG diff, then you know there's nothing you can do about that. The Wind Demon into Executioner is actually going to hit harder as long as the enemy AC actually hits those crits. But just for consistency's sake, on build curve sake, Execution is I think around 300 gold cheaper. Let me just double check that just in case.
In
yeah,
all my years,
Execution is about
I
300
haven't
gold cheaper
seen
than
such a
Wind
thing.
Demon. And in my opinion, it provides better stats and a better passive. So I always recommend going Executioner second. Also, it works with your junglers. If your jungler's coming for a gank and this is enemy support, and you start auto attacking them, reducing their protections, then any jungler's going to, as long as jungler's like an Ao Kuang or like a Hebo or something, the jungler's going to do more damage to them with their abilities and auto attacks as well. So that's why I always recommend it. If you have a magical jungle like Ao Kuang or Hebo or something along that nature, maybe like an Athena jungle, then by all means, don't worry about going Wind Demon in the 4th slot. I actually recommend in that situation to get it 3rd. Just because like the reason Execution is so nice in the 3rd slot is because it's cheaper, it's more consistent item, but the biggest benefit to it is having that protection shred for your jungler. Or for your solo laner in late game team fights, or if you have a physical support, like maybe you have like a Najar or you have a Horus, Crit special as well, so they do a bit more damage. Is in my opinion a bit more valuable than a 20% crit chance, a bit extra movement speed on crit. But yeah, so after Executioner, you want to go Wind Demon. This is just the cheapest crit item you can get. Once you complete Wind Demon and you start to up a little bit, you should be level 20 and you should have an alright arrow, so in which case get it here. If not, I'd recommend starting building Deathbringer and then finishing off after All Night Arrow, unless you're not level 20 by the time you can fully complete Deathbringer. But yeah, you want Deathbringer in this spot. Deathbringer has been an interesting item over the years. Not many people... over the years, this item has been sort of considered to be quite weak. It's very expensive, it doesn't provide any attack speed penetration, it's just power and crit chance. And obviously the passive is really nice, but the reason it's really good right now is because there's a funny little item in the game called Spectral Armor, which reduces all critical hit bonus damage by 60%, which means that mostly the enemy supports, Solina and Jungler will all pick up a set of Spectral Armor, just so they can die at the ADC and not get completely blown up. Deathbringer is the only item in the game that can actually remove some of the power from the item. So usually if you only had one demon, you maybe had like, I don't know, rage in that slot or something. Your crits only deal probably about 150 to tanky targets, whereas with Deathbringer it deals about just over 200, which is a lot better. And obviously it starts in the protection zone attacks, so it'll deal more damage. Deathbringer is a really important item in the current meta, just because of how powerful Spectral Armor is. Which is, of course, in response to how powerful crit is. But Deathbringer reduces some of that power that Spectral Armor has. It allows you to box into those, especially the assassins, the junglers that are diving you. It allows you to box into them a lot better, and honestly, you can just turn things to paper. Once you're at this point in the build, and you have, where is the? I should probably start my Devourer's Gauntlet, shouldn't I? Where is the thing for that? There it is. Yeah. So as of this point in the build. This is before I have any potions, I haven't sold my boots yet. I'm doing, this to people, just casually, The best thing about ADCs right now is they absolutely they absolutely terminate objectives. If I go to the Fire Giant over here and I start smacking it, like, you know what I mean? ADCs will absolutely terminate objectives. This patch. So definitely be looking to sort of focus around objectives, Gold Fury, Fire Giants, etc., towers. Like your shred this patch is absolutely insane. It is absolutely crazy how much you can shred things like Fire Giant. Jing Wei is not necessarily the best at shredding objectives. I actually think the best god right now for shredding objectives is Anher, just because the additional power he gets from his pillar. You have some really, I mean, when I say Anher slaps, I mean Anher slaps objectives. Jing Wei still can. Absolutely no reason why she can't. She's a nice attack speed steroid, good crit chance, a bit of power and a dash. Like, you can absolutely shred protections with Jing Wei. But once you're at this point in your build, I don't know how to say it other than, like, it will take 4 people to bring you down. Especially, like, right now I've got a Fire Giant buff, I'm getting some of the regen from Fire Giant. I have my crit lifesteal, which... if you weren't aware, lifesteal is based off of a percentage of damage you deal, which means that if you crit someone, you gain a percentage of the crit damage dealt, and you'll heal for a lot more. And since you have All Night Arrow, Deathbringer, and Wind Demon, you should be critting. I believe this is 65% crit chance, so you should be critting a lot of your autos. Actually, like, I'm not, there you go. There's a few non-crits, and then critting all my autos again. Like, as long as you're critting a lot of the autos, soul laners can't box into you. Even if you have anti-heal, it's impossible. You deal so much damage to them, you heal so much through your dev gauntlets and your crit. And even if like they get you low, you can just go, I'm gone now. That didn't work. Just go like, whee, and you're gone now. And you have additional movement speed and power you can kite with and do more damage. This, activating the 2, will give you another 20% crit chance, which means you'll have 85% crit chance. This should, Jing Wei with a 2-proc late game should pretty much always crit. It's going to be very, very rare you don't crit with the 2 available. Like, it's probably not going to happen. There's a 15% chance with the 2 active not to crit. But it's not that bad. You take those odds, especially since these crits. One thing that's interesting to note, actually, I didn't mention about the 2, especially with crit, is that the damage for the two, some of you played Heimdall. When you use Heimdall autos, or King Arthur autos, you'll hit the god that you aimed at for full damage, and the two side gods will be hit for, I think it's 33%, a percentage of the total damage you gain to the god you aimed at. Or you hit directly with the axe. Jing Wei too, as far as I'm aware, doesn't actually have that lower damage on the AoE. So if I hit this Odin bot for a 767 crit, this Odin bot also gets hit for a 767 bot crit. This can be really good, especially if you combo it. Like the thing me and Fox are doing right now in ranks, if I'm playing Jing Wei, is he'll play Xing Chen, and he'll throw a bunch of people like grouped up at me, and I'll just pop my two. I'll just go smack, 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 and that'll deal so much damage in AoE to those targets. If there are any squish targets in that thing, they're dead. They don't survive that. It's a really helpful ability to fight late game, especially in groups. Like I said, make sure you have your two procs as often as you can. Not only like wider and make obviously AoE autos, but it's also easy to hit. Like this is how far out I can be, and that will still hit. Let's see if I can get. Okay, yeah. So it's about this far. Like you can be this far off your target with Jing Wei 2 activated, and it's still gonna hit them. So definitely have your two procs as much as you can late game. It'll be a lot easier for you. Aiming at things can be hard, especially with like a high mobile jungler, or maybe like a high mobile mage. Having your two active will just make life a bit easier. I didn't crit there with the two. Huh. There we go. It can happen. Okay, so what else we need to go about? Strategies and lane map again. Laning phase. So as I mentioned, Jing Wei, not an aggressive hunter. This does not mean that if you have a lead, you can't take 1v1s. Jing Wei can still 1v1 relatively well. Especially once you have crit online at least, like you can pop your 2 and you can just crit people. But mostly you're going to want to stay back. I recommend when the wave hits, you 2 the front minions and then 3 1 the back ones. And that'll, please know that doesn't actually full clip. This is just with the game time, the minions are quite weak. The burst doesn't full clear, the dot damage will eventually clear the archers. Yeah, you want to hang back. You want to just play with your support a little bit, farm your buffs. Invading on Jing Wei can be a bit funky. She isn't very good at, especially if you get ganked, she isn't very good at fighting into ganks. She often wants to get out. I actually don't recommend, unless you've got a very clear lead of their AC and they really can't do anything, they're really poked out, you know the jungler's not on your side of the map, then by all means go for the invade. Although Jing Wei's a passive god, I don't want you to think that she just sit here behind the wave and cower away or under a tower. She can by all means fight as well as any other ADC. It's just she hasn't got quite. The problem with Jing Wei is that her crowd control is not very confirmable. Like she has like a knock up, that's it. That's her crowd control. Obviously you've seen the size of this circle, it's not very big. It can be quite hard to actually get unless you kind of lead people into it. But yeah, so you can still fight, like you can still obviously in lane fight. I believe Jing Wei's base auto attack damage is actually lower than most other hunters, so keep that in mind when you're fighting, especially if you're fighting something like Anher or Apollo who can box really well in lane. Your auto attacks are not going to deal as much damage as theirs. So just be aware of that when you're boxing with those characters. But typically speaking, I think the best way to play Jing Wei lane is just clear waves, back it up, farm your pepper buff, farm your oracle, scorpion, or the oracles, whichever it may be, whoever farms on the map on your side of the map, farm it. Get that lead built up, get that golden hand. You really want to push to 20 as early as possible. The ADC wants to get to level 20 earlier than any other role in the game right now, because that's when their main power spike. Like ADC, when I've got Dev Gauntlets and just have my Executioner, I can do a little bit of damage, but mostly I'm scared. And then once I get like my full building line, my Onyx Arrows on, my Deathbringer, and my Wind Demon, then I'm angry. You turn into angry person, and you really start to smack people. That only happens once you reach level 20. Like I said, Onyx Arrow is a really good ability. I suppose the options to selling boots, by the way, I didn't mention it when I was talking about the build. when selling boots, obviously you want to get the potion of elixir, so you can combine it first whenever you can. Oh, I'm not in the fucking I'm not in the fountain. Stupid.
Go now.
I recommend buying on potion
Good
elixir speed
thinking.
first and popping it, so that way you can still farm. You have to buy the item, and that way you still get to keep your ninja tab line until you have enough gold for the next item. It won't take too long with gold arrow. Looks like gold arrow, 20% gold from all sources. You really start to rake in the cash when you have this item. But as other options for selling your boots, there's a couple of things you can go. Typically, if they have a lot of healing, they're like an Aphrodite or a Chang'e or a Chalk or anything that's going to heal a lot. I actually recommend Shadow Steel Shuriken. More power, it gives less attack speed, but it's more critical hit chance. But this is like the first item our first meta we've had where ADCs can actually willingly fit an anti-heal item into their build without nerfing their damage output too much. Just note you will gain a little bit less attack speed on this item, but obviously you'll gain the anti-heal effect that the other items like Brawlers and Divine have, 40% reduced healing until all targets hit by a critical hit. Which obviously if you have this, your critical hit chance really spikes up to, I believe, 85,
In
and then
all my years,
I think
haven't
if with
seen
this,
such
if
a
you
thing.
have your 2 procced, I think there's absolutely no chance in hell that you ever not crit. I said that's providing the anti-heal every time. So I said they have like high healing gods like Aphrodite or Chang'e or Shark or something. Shadow Steel Shuriken is a fantastic option for selling your boots. I won't go as in your regular build just because the stats in it aren't that impressive. It can be a bit clunky to use. I think this item's definitely best saved for last item. If you feel like you are just getting dove way too much, Poison Star is another fantastic option. Every time you
What a
critical hit with
majestic
Poison Star,
bow.
it will slow the target by 10%, and it will reduce their damage output by, I believe, 15, if I'm not mistaken. 15%. It will reduce their damage output by 15%, which is really helpful, especially if like an assassin jumping on you and maybe doing you a bit too much damage to you. Poison Star will really relieve some of that damage for you. I like to stay swinging, and I like to keep them in the 1v1. Other options you can go, if their front line is just really physically tanky, you can actually go dominance. I've messed around with dominance a little bit, especially on gods that have an attack speed stim,
In
like
all
Jing
my
Wei
years,
has an
I
attack
haven't
speed stim.
seen
If you do
such a
this,
thing.
attack speed stim, you don't suffer that much from the loss of the attack speed. I believe once the 1 dies down, yeah, 2.2, which is still an acceptable auto attack. Auto attack speed, what should I say? It's still a very acceptable auto attack speed. But let's give you a lot more pen, just to hit the front lines a bit harder. You know, one thing Dominance will do is actually make your Deathbringer do more damage, because while it won't reduce the passive of Spectral Armor, it will actually just reduce the protections outright, which means you will do more damage to the different liners with Dominance. Just note that obviously you will lose a lot of attack speed here. Dominance doesn't have any attack speed on the item, so just be aware of that. Other options you can go, if I'm not mistaken, Oboe. It can be got if you've got like Anher and you have no attack speed and you really need the extra attack speed just to stay over that two base attack speed threshold. Then perhaps Oboe is still a fantastic item. I still believe this is one of the best items in the game. So if you want to bring obviously more attack speed, then you want to bring that large AoE damage to team fights. If your god doesn't have that, like Jing Wei already has the AoE damage in it too, but if you need the attack speed and you want the AoE damage for team fights, Oboe is a fantastic item. Other items, Silver Branch Bow. Any god that's got a really nice attack speed steroid. I won't consider Jing Wei to be the best user of a Silver Branch Bow, considering her attack speed steroid is kind of clunky to use, especially in team fights. Like oftentimes you'll probably save it for either a crowd control chain or as an escape. But Silver Branch Bow is a fantastic option on gods like Artemis, Rama, Chernobog, obviously Apollo. Everyone knows about the Apollo Silver Branch Bow. This is still a very fine, viable option for you to go. It gives you more power for every 0.2 attack speed over the attack speed cap. Very helpful for gods like Apollo, like Ram, who have massive attack speed stims. They can really take advantage of this. Just do a lot more damage. Just do it to the back line. I won't consider this really a front line. If you're gonna get If their team's very frontline heavy, maybe they have an Erlang jungle or something, they've gone quite tanky. I would recommend Soul Branch Spell, I would just recommend going either Dominance or Poison Star. Or if it's Erlang Shen, Shadow Steel Shuriken also works. But fine, this is definitely, they've got a bit of a squishier comp, and you're playing a god that has a stim, a bit more of a niche item. But Apollo works with this Soul Branch Spell fantastically. Like I said, Rama does, Izanami does. Anyone that's got like a really nice high attack speed stim. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is worth an ADC buying. Kin size, if their team is really healthy, it is an option. I wouldn't recommend outside the pen build, but you know, if they've got like a Stoner Gaia King Arthur and you really need that extra damage on the kin size, then there is an option that's there. As well as Assy, same thing. Just know that if the enemy goes anti-heal, the item becomes practically worthless, so like I say, it is an option, just be careful with it. Berserker Shield is okay if you need the extra survivability. Definitely fallen out of favour since the start of Season 8, but it's still, you can still pick it up last item if you really need just the few extra prots that provide you. Other than that, I think that's mostly every item I would recommend going for. I wouldn't recommend buying Atalanta's bow. It's just not a very good item. Again, same with Bloodforge, or you get his power from it. You don't need the lifesteal because you've got the Varro's Gauntlets, it's just a bit overkill. It's very expensive. The shield can be nice, but you don't typically need it on ADCs, so you can just go to a random back camp and farm, and lifesteal up to like at least over half your health. Just off a single back camp, so I wouldn't recommend Bloodforge. So the stats aren't really nice. Like I said, apart from my Devourer's Gauntlet and Deathbringer, my items don't really have a lot of power. 35, 25. This is how any power in it at all, just increase basic attack damage. Like all punters don't need physical power. They get a lot more DPS just from raw attack speed, and in this case crit as well. And so crit options, I won't recommend. Malice is just a damn right awful ability. I'll be honest, this build has been changed. I'm not going to talk about Malice. I don't know what this item does. I just know it's something to do with abilities. So shots all abilities and cooldown, except your ultimate. Yeah, this is like an ability based crit option. It's just not good. You don't go Malice with crit, it just doesn't make any sense. Felnut has been butchered. His item can be okay on certain gods. I just wouldn't recommend it over obviously Windium Depredator or an Arrow. It's just really nice. You don't need the extra crit chance from the passive. The CDR can be nice, but that's it. Hunters aren't really using cooldown right now. Excuse me. You aren't really using cooldown reduction right now. Just because obviously like you're not spamming abilities when you have crit build, you're auto attacking, that's all you're doing, you're just auto attacking everyone. Wow. Okay. You're not using abilities that often, you're just auto attacking. So cooldown reduction right now is not a very viable stat for hunters. But I think that's about everything I've talked about. If there's by chance something I've missed, or something you need to explain again to understand, but this is quite sporadic. I'm not the best talker, to be quite frankly honest. I thought it'd be interesting to do these tutorials for people that are new to the game, people that want to get into the ADC role. So by all means, if you have any questions or you want me to go over anything else, leave a comment, shoot me on Twitter, anything like that. Just get involved, ask me questions, and I'll be able to explain anything that maybe I didn't go over, or I went over too fast, or I didn't explain very well. Please let me know. These guides are all in the best interest of helping people play ADC, because ADC is generally a really fun role. I think it's a very undervalued role. That hopefully wraps up how to play Jing Wei. I can't think of it off the top of my head anything else I need to go over. Just obviously a few general pointers. Don't forget your abilities. Don't forget this attack speed stim. Have this active in the late game as much as you possibly can. Just the easier auto attacks, so obviously the increased crit chance for more consistent crits. And don't forget to use your ultimate as a way to disengage from scary situations. Yeah, that's about it. So thank you for watching. Happy gaming, gamers. And I'll catch you all in my next tutorial, which will be either a Hatchiman or a Heimdall tutorial. I'll see you then. Peace.